coming to this training this morning, is it a project or not? What makes it a project? Sir, your name, sir?
My name is Chike.
Okay, Chike. So what makes it a project?
I understand project as something you propose to.
Something you propose to.
Yes.
Okay.
And have a plan towards making it happen.
Okay. You know, when I had the word propose, the first thing that came to my mind is that I'm talking to a girl. You're trying to move, but don't mind me. I'm not spoiled, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. But that's a good point. But we will know if that's correct. But because of our time, let me just try to see how I can move forward. Because I have like 45 minutes and I've used, I think, almost 15 minutes now. I said earlier on that we all manage projects on a daily basis. For example, getting to work or coming to this training can either be a project or not. Now, I'll give you two ways to it. Coming to this training this morning is not a project. And that's the truth. You're already confused. There's one thing that is missing in coming to this place this morning that would have made it a project. When you come to this place with the intention of getting here on time, that is a project. Not just coming to this place. Because anything you're going to use to describe what a project is must have the features, must have the methodologies, the skills of a project in it. And that is where people fail in the certification exams. Because like I told you, you have option A to D, correct? But the most correct is what you should go for. So, coming to this place, yes, truly, if you are just talking literally, it is a project. But we're talking about the jargons of project management in it. Getting to work on time can be a project. But getting to work is not really a project. Because it can now become a routine, an operation. When you go to a fast food or mama put, it is not a project. Going to a courier company to send a mail is not a project. Recruiting is a project. And I'll give you reasons why some of these things are projects and some are not projects. I'll tell you why some are just operations. Going to the bank to deposit money or to withdraw money is not a project. These are operations. Why? Because they don't have the elements of project management in it. So I have said that getting to work on time can be a project. Don't forget on time. And so for you to manage to get to work on time, you need to develop a project plan. Not getting to this training alone. Getting to this training this morning on time. So for me to get to this training on time, I need to what? Manage my plans, my time. So I need a project plan. I was told my presentation starts 12:45. And I calculated, okay, how can I get here on or before 12:45? Which means, how can I get here on time? So do you think my intention, my plans to get here on time can be likened to a project or not? Why? Because I want to get here on time. So for me to manage to get here on time, I need to develop a project plan. If you work for an organization and you want to develop a new product or service, you want to effect a change in structure, you want to recruit, you want to implement a new business process or procedure, all of these things can be likened to a project. And I'm going to give you why. Number one, reason is because there are 4 things that you must always look out for you to be able to sum up anything as a project and not an operation. Number 1 is that projects are temporary. Number 2, it must have an absolute defined purpose. And number 3, it must have a start date and end date. And number 4, it must have human and other resources. Temporary as a word is a relative term. A project is temporary. A project is taken on to achieve a specific purpose and is then eliminated. When I said temporary is a related term, at least we've all been to school. What does that mean? When you say something is relative, what does it mean? That's, madam, when you say something is relative, what does it mean? No, I'm not referring to the word temporary now. When you say, when you're talking and you are making reference to something that's relative. It can what? I didn't get that. It can mean so many things in different cases. So as applicable to this one, it might mean this. As applicable to another one, it might mean another thing. So the word temporary, as it means in this situation A, might be different in meaning in situation B. Correct. That's why I said that temporary is a relative term. So when you say something is temporary, you know that literally it has a meaning. But in project management, talking about what project is, talking about how you can sum up projects. Temporary is a relative term, so it has its own meaning. So a project is temporary. A project is taken on to achieve a specific purpose and is then eliminated. So I give you an example. I wanted to get here on time to 12:45. Getting to work on time can be likened to as a project. So projects can be getting to work on time, which can happen probably in 1 hour or less. Projects can be 5 days long. Projects can be 6 months, 6 years long. If they are large projects like construction projects and so on. But all of these things are still temporary. Why? Because a project is taken on to achieve a specific purpose and is then eliminated. So whether it is in 1 minute, or it is in 10 minutes, or it is in 5 months, or it is in 1 year, it is temporary. Why? It is taken on to achieve a certain purpose, a specific. Remember when I defined a project for you according to PMBOK syllabus, the 4th edition, who remembered that definition? I said the project is what?
A temporary endeavor undertaking to create a service or a product.
Okay, at least you try looking at your book, but it reminded us that it is undertaking to achieve something that is specific, something that is with a purpose. So projects are temporary. So when you achieve that purpose, what happens? You close, you eliminate it. So I have been able to get here on time. Is the project ended or not?
Yes.
Are you sure? What's your name, madam? Yes. Okay, Tina, do you think getting to this place on time has ended the project? No. No, don't be shy. No. Tell me, why do you think no? Because we need to learn. It helps us. We might get a point from what you're trying to say.
If you say your project is getting here on time,
That means that ended. Because I've achieved that specific purpose. I'm glad we're now talking. It has to be done when? On time. So the first thing we've looked at, under the 4 areas that you can sum up projects, is temporary. And the second thing is that it must have a defined purpose. Projects that has a defined purpose achieves its final result. We talked about that. So getting to work on time, having a new system for your company, building a highway, creating a unique product or services, all these things have specific purpose. So you want to ask yourself again, going from Apple to buy, is it temporary? Okay, what does it mean to be temporary? How is it applicable to this one? Okay, does it have an absolute defined purpose? And that's not the end The third thing is that you must have a start date and an end date. You said the project is temporary, it must have a beginning, that is a start date and an end. If a project never ends, then it never achieves its purpose, because from the very beginning, it has a specific purpose. And finally, under that one, we said that it must have human and other resources. What does this mean? You need a team. The project will not just require human beings, but equipment. For example, I'm not just talking, I'm holding on to something which helps amplify my voice for you all to hear clearly. And then you have chairs that you're sitting on. You have speakers. So, human and other resources, material, supply. Because a project is temporary, you must have processes in place to return those materials and equipment back to the CAP. And I'm going to explain this. When this class is done, when this training is done, I'm not sure, probably because this place is a church or a huge church, so you have some of those things stationed permanently. But if you were probably in a hall that was rented and you brought in equipment, you brought in all of those things that we're using, when you are done with the training, are you going to leave those things there? What are you going to do to them? You're going to pack them out and return them to where it was sourced from. Now, in project management, it is expected, there's something they call corporate asset pool. Assets, A-S-S-E-T, corporate asset pool. So, it is expected that the project manager and the project team members must return the materials, all that they used in executing that project back to the corporate asset pool, back to where it was sourced from. All of those things are what you will encounter in your day-to-day life. There are things that you will encounter when you work in an organization. There are things that will stand you out and can give you an edge over somebody else. Before we go into prerequisites for a successful project, how you can be able to have or execute a successful project. I don't know if you have a question you want to ask me so far. So far, I've been able to tell you what a project is. We've said that a project is specific, it's unique. You undertake it to achieve something that will give you a unique result, a unique product or result. And again, we've said that project is different from an operation. Operations are routines, daily routines. And how do you know what a project is? And how do you know what is not a project? It's simple, 4 areas. Number 1 is temporary. We also said that the projects are temporary. That temporary itself, as a word, is relative in this balance. And then for it to be temporary, whether it is a minute, whether it is 2 months, whether it is 6 months or 1 year, it doesn't matter. As long as it achieves a specific purpose and also it has human and other resources in it. All of these things will help you to know that this is a project. So, do you have any questions so far? Okay.
The University of Lagos, project management is called environmental studies.
Okay.
I want to ask why.
You want to ask why? Okay, thank you. I don't know why you are asking because it can be explained in different ways. Because if you go to another higher institution, take for example, when I was doing something for them at Bells University, they have a department on its own referred to as project management department. In fact, I am also aware that there are some schools also who have project management itself as a discipline. I don't know about the University of Lagos, but if it's under, it behoves on the school authority to be able to tell us the rationale behind such a decision, why they would have project management as a discipline under environmental science. But again, it could be that they are trying to see how students can learn how to manage projects under environmental issues, related matters, and so on and so forth. It could be so. It depends on what inspired the school authority or whoever is the head of academic and so on to put project management as either a department or a course or so under that faculty. I don't know, but project management itself is a discipline. So everybody knows what they want and how they want to go about their stuff. But I think they will be more they'll be in a better position to explain that reason. I do not work for the University of Lagos. One question at the back, okay?
my question is, you talk about being able to return the things that helped you to achieve a project. Can you liken that to reference maybe you are writing a project? Or I want to understand that.
Can I come again? Writing a project in school? Okay, you use the mic so I can get you clearly.
All right, thank you, sir. What I mean is, you recently just talked about that after a project, you should be able to return, like you give an example of it.
The materials, the equipment, back to the corporate assets.
Yes,
okay.
Can you refer that to as referencing in, maybe if you're writing a project or academic projects and all?
Oh, okay.
Can you expatiate more on that?
Okay, right now academic project is different from project management as a discipline. Very different, completely different, two different things entirely. So I'm not going to say that they are the same thing, or I'm not going to say that when you make a reference, when you're making a reference, you're only trying to ensure the integrity of your work, because you must cite correctly, you must be able to give credit to the original owner of whatever you are putting out in your paper or in your project coursework. So that's it. So if you write anything, whether it is a coursework or not, and you not make references by giving them credit, those who you've come to lift their stuff, then it's what's it called in English now? There's a word for it in plagiarism. It's plagiarism, which is a criminal offense if you don't know that. So there are two different things. If you want to say that the act of writing or putting together those paperwork as a form of project on time, if you want to ask if that is a project, then we can say that is a project. But that's referencing your work, if it's a project, no, because they are very, it's abstract. I might want to write a project now or an article. I can liken it to a project. There was time I used to write articles for magazines and newspapers, the ones you read every day. And you have deadlines. Deadlines not for you to even go to the production for them to print, but for your editor to be able to proofread and edit. So everybody has time. The editor also has the time to finish whatever he or she is doing for them to now take it to the press. So all of these things are projects. Did you get the difference? Okay.
I am not very clear.
Okay.
Very large projects in school and project management in the outside world. Because in school, the kind of way I do in some disciplines, we see that we use equipment to do them. For example, if you are in the sciences or faculty of, let's say, agri, practicals.
Okay.
For example, you go,
are you making reference to his own point? Because what he has said, let me make it clear because of time. What he has said, I'm still going to allow you to talk, but for us not to also go back. What he has said, if I get you correctly, is writing references for written projects, especially when you're in final year. And they say, before you can graduate, you have to write a project. So you write the chapter 1, you write chapter 2, literature review, all of those things, all of those, you do your hypothesis and all. Those of you that went to school, you know. And then people like when I go to school, maybe we have a little idea. So it's different from what you are trying to say, if I get it correctly, making a reference to practical projects that are being done in departments that are maybe science or technology departments, and they have to come up with, okay, something, can you manufacture or invent a fan like this and all of those things. They are two different things. So I need us to always have clarity and understanding when issues are being raised, so that we don't also waste time. So if you want to ask your own question differently, don't make reference to his own, and don't say that you are confused. Because if you are in an interview and I'm talking to you like this, firmly, because I'm trying to train you for the future, so that you don't go, if you talk like this in an interview, then I'll just look at you and say no.
Actually, what I wanted to say, if I may,
Okay.
What I wanted to say is that I'm not making total reference to what he said. He's talking about a project that will carry out in school. And then concerning that project that will carry out in school, I think that can it be likened to the...
Which project are you referring to? Because I'm confused now. Can you ask your own question without making reference to his own? Let him, can you give him the mic so that he can express himself very well? And if you just take it easy, we will get you. I don't want you to make reference to anybody. Just ask your own. Because I think what you are trying to say is different from what he has said. Right? So ask your own question.
My question is that the project that we carry out, the projects that we carry out in school.
What kind of projects are you talking about?
Science project, for example.
Science project, the practical ones.
Practical project.
You know, in secondary school they call it practicals. When I was trying to do easy WAEC or whatever, you say you have to do practical, biology practical and physics, is that type, Abi? And in universities you want to invent this, you want to invent that, right? So it's not the one he said about writing.
No, I'm not talking about.
So simple. Oh yeah, let's
so I'm not even talking about inventing. I'm looking at.
You're not even talking about inventing. So which one are you talking about?
A kind of project that you are to carry out. Let's say in plants, for example, you want to determine the, for example, the amount of, let's say, organic fertilizer that can produce so and so yield, and you have to carry out that project in say 3-4 weeks. Can it be likened to the same kind of project that we are talking about? Say, because that project that in school, it is temporary, it has a defined purpose, you sell, you eliminate it, and then the material that you borrowed, you also return it, say maybe to the farm manager or to the department. So can we liken it to the market, to the project?
Okay, if I get you correctly, you are trying to make reference to projects that are done in departments like agriculture.
Yes.
Because you said it's not the inventing one. So whether it is the inventing one or the one you do in farming, it's still the same pattern. And it's different from his own type of writing projects. So now you want to know if that hype is the same as this project we are talking about. Okay, then you also said something about another project in 3 weeks or so. I didn't get that part clearly.
Just the time frame.
I said
this same project you have to complete it in 3 weeks.
Let's say 3 weeks. Let's say 3 months.
And you want to know if it can be likened to as a project. Simple now. Than making reference to that guy and saying that you're still not sure. Okay, I'll take you back to the 4 areas that we've summed up the project. Number 1, we said that it has to be temporary. What's number 2?
Defined purpose.
Absolutely defined purpose. Number 3?
Start date and end date.
Starting and ending. And number 4?
Human and other resources.
Human and other. So now let us mirror this your own type of project. Let me just borrow from the same field of what you said. Let's say you want to use fertilizer on some crops, right? It's like a project. And then that you are trying to do in school. And you have maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks thereabout. So, is it temporary? That kind of is it temporary? I'm putting the question back to the class. Is it temporary? What makes it temporary? Because it has a start and end date. It mentioned like in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Okay. Now, number 2. What's the second thing? Number 2. Absolute defined purpose. So, what's the absolute design purpose for this zone project? The effect of the fertilizer, not just to plant the crops, not just to have fertilizer, but you want to see the effects in 3-4 weeks. Okay, that's not enough. Number 3, what's the number 3? Is that what is in number 3?
No, start and end date.
A start date and an end date. Thank God I went to school. So a start date and an end date. There's nothing in order anyway, so you can jump from 1 to 4, but I just want to know if you're following me. Start date and end date. So that project is making reference to, does it have a start date and an end date? So what could be the start date and what could be the end date? From the day the 3 weeks will be accomplished is the start date, and then in that 3 weeks, end of that 3 weeks is the end date. What about the human and other resources? Tell me, who are the humans there? Himself. If I'm there, I'm like a farmer too. Then the resources are gone.
Fertilizer.
Cutlass, all of those things. So, do you think it's a project? Yes. Did you say yes or no? Yes. Now, are you now going to return those equipments used back to the place it was sourced from?
Yes.
Of course now.
Because the department gives you those things. So you definitely have to. There was a time I was studying filmmaking, directing at New York Film Academy in New York. And whenever we go out to shoot in the snow, we go out to shoot in, they release equipment to us. The school releases equipment to us. And then you have to use your ID card as a student to check out. They put us in groups. Now, allow me to use this word. Oh, Bieda, you must return those equipments. You must return them.
Of course, it's not like that.
Because number one, if you don't return them, they don't check you out as an individual. Sometimes there are 4 or 5 in a group in our class. So all of you, we must go to the, I forgot the name of the department that issues those equipments to us. All of us in that each group, and you submit your ID card, and they are scanning in person. Now, by the time you are returning it, except it's complete, but you still have to give them your ID card or collect it from someone and help them, so you can also be checked in, and so you don't hold. Now, if an equipment is manhandled, damaged, lost, stolen, or whatever name you want to qualify it, then all of you, not just one person, all of you, because it's a group, must be responsible for replacement. So, each shot or film we are going to go out to do, even as cold as the weather will be, you still must return it at a particular time. It's not their business. Get stuck in the snow. You can't drive, you can't go anywhere. There are times that the storm is coming. You cannot do anything. You have to return it. So we check out and then we check in. So returning it back to the corporate expo. So the shooting we are going to do, some of them might be class works, assignments that when we now meet in the next class, each of you group would have recorded it, would have edited and do everything. The instructor will now begin to play them on the screen. So let's say we have 5 groups in one class. The first group, they will play their own. Everybody in class will criticize it except you that you are in that group. But your own time will come too, because they will do it one by one. I will now leave the instructor to take the final decision. So if you don't get an A, you're not graduating. If you don't get a B, you're not graduating. And you have suffered, and you thought you've done the best of the best job, and one man will tell you this is crap. So each of those things that we're doing to a project, because what? If you look at it, it's temporary, just for that period. And then we start at a time, we end at a time. It has human and has resources in it. It's eliminated. Once you've done it, that's it. So we get involved in so many things, and we don't know that these things are projects. And so in your place of work, there are so many activities that are going on there that are projects. Unfortunately, I don't think I have, it's almost 1:30, how many more minutes? I think I have 4 minutes left, but also 15 minutes for questions and answers. Let's run if you don't have any more questions. I'll just probably take 1 or 2 slides and we close. The last time I came here too, I couldn't finish. Question? Okay. You have the slides anyway, so you can always go through them. Okay, your name? I kept on saying time, okay? Okay, great question. What's your name? I like your intelligence. Very interesting question, Nancy. If I got that name correctly. Just on the lighter note. And that I wanted to get here on time, 12:45. So if I did not get here 12:45, is it that project is terminated? What do you guys think? You know, I didn't go to school, but you guys went to school. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? You want to say something? What do you think, in your own opinion? Is that place terminated? Okay. Somebody at the back. Your name, sir?
My name is Charles.
Okay, Charles.
Actually, I would say the project is terminated because it has a starting and an end time. And in between the time frame of the project, you would have looked at that there are some factors that might make it to delay at times, and those factors will be included. What actually, the thing is, for every project, like you say, it has a starting and an end time. So there is a particular budget that has been made for that project. So when you actually, if you don't finish at that particular time, that means the cost and everything, because you that you are taking up the project, you are not the owner of the project. There is somebody and you have given him the cost for it. So who bears the burden after a while? But I believe in the period of that starting to that end time, if you can still finish, you can improvise, do anything, maybe something happens today and you cannot get there, how do you meet up? Because if you don't end it at that particular time, even if you're trying to complete it another time, that is like another project. You are starting something different. It's another project that you have to fix from that time to a specific time. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you. You went overboard and you got us confused, or probably got me confused, but you tried.
I want to make a contribution.
You want to also make your name, sir?
Okay, my name is Demola Kubola. It just means that your project is unsuccessful. If you set the time limit, you didn't meet up, you have failed.
Can we clap for him? He also tried. Now, let me explain this to you because of our time. When we're talking about projects and then having a project plan in place, I jumped, I didn't explain that. Probably if I had explained that, it would have helped. When you say to get to work on time, to get to this training on time, 12:45 p.m. I said to you earlier on that on time, it means specific, makes the project. If I'm unable to now get here for 12:45, then that means that project is not successful. It doesn't mean that the project is terminated, but it's no longer a project. Now, if I now want to jump to what the first person at the back was trying to say, because as I said, he went overboard and he made them, and in projects, you have different people who are stakeholders. You have so many things that are characteristics of a project. You also would see that in projects, you have what they call project constraints. Project constraints like constraint of time, constraint of budget, constraint of quality, you have risk, and so on and so forth. And then, when you are trying to work on a project, and there is a challenge, there is a stakeholder that you can always go to meet to see if you can get an approval. In project management, what they use is CCB, the Change Control Board. You go to meet your sponsor, the financier, and see whether, can this be changed? There's many things that I would have gone through today, but we've not even got into project management because still in projects. And there are two different things. Let me see, what do I do now? Because explaining this question will take more time. But talking about project plan, to make it for 12:45, let's say I left where I was, let's say 11, and I felt it would only take me 30 minutes to get here. Yet I left where I was for 11. Why? Because I've noticed that there is a lot of queue, fuel scarcity, and so on and so forth. Or there might just be traffic, you can't predict Lagos roads. So I felt this time I'm leaving, 11, I will get to so and so place for maybe 11:30. From there, I get to so and so place. From there, I make it to this place for 12:45 or 12:20 or before 12:45. Now, if I feel that will not work, then I can start to change my project plan. That's my PP. I have my project plan by saying, okay, can I leave earlier, maybe 10:30 or some minutes to 11 a.m. because the traffic from where I'm coming from might be so long that I would not even know how to go about it. So your project plan helps you to be able to manage your time. Don't forget, I said for you to get to work on time or get to this training on time, you have to now manage your time and then create a project plan. So for you to manage your time well, you must be able to look at the tasks or the activities that you are going to undergo to help you to achieve what you want to achieve by getting to work or getting to this training on time. But if you do not get here from 12:45, then your project, as if you are correctly Quiver or William has said, it's not successful because you've not achieved that purpose. Whether it is eliminated or not, you've not achieved that purpose. It's like you trying to get to your train station. It's not that we don't have a good railway system here in Nigeria. But when I travel, if I'm yes, let me use the United States as an example. Or maybe even, US, UK, London, you have all those trains that will move at a certain time. I think even buses too do it, even aeroplanes. I mean, we can localize it here. They will tell you the gate closes at 40 minutes to take off time. I remember one time I went to Turkey and I don't know what just happened to me. I get to airport late, I don't know why. I've been used to this Lagos Okada lifestyle. Before I ban Okada, my own is that since I live close to the airport, once I pick Okada, like, hey Okada, I'm going to Abuja, just my handbag. Anyway, put it on my back, and the guy takes me, boom, I get to the airport so fast. So when they ban Okada, I was still thinking, I was still be delaying, and I usually get to the airport late and will either miss my flight or be denied access to the gate because the gates are closed already. So in Turkey, there was traffic, heavy traffic. I was coming back to the country and then I got to the airport with luggages and they said, the gate is closed. But the plane was still there. And I remember that I'm a Yoruba man. I said, I'm a Shanomi. Ẹ̀ṣà ọmọ tó ní àti bàbá mi ìmàdé mi ìmà léyàn bí mi níbi tí mo ń lọ àti ìgbà wọn ọkọ̀ yìí ọkọ̀ òfurufú yìí ẹ má yẹ kí tèmi bá jẹ ẹ̀ṣà lómi. I was begging, it's not my fault, please, and the young lady, had mercy on me with God's grace, not by my begging. And I said, okay, how many bags do you have? Could you marry? No. You even have 4. I thought it's just a hand luggage. I said, I shall not tell you. I said, you don't shall. Am I give me a flight to you? Come on, yeah. Put them, and they quickly tagged me in and attacked the bag, rolled it away, and told me, if you like, walk majestically. If you like, run. But if you like yourself, fly. Because the distance from that place to the gate, hey, man, you need like a bike or a taxi to take you. And apart from the 4 luggages, I had a hand luggage that was heavy with laptop, like 2, very heavy that you cannot just run easily. Man, that day I knew I could run. I knew I could run because I ran and I was able to thank God. I mean, I'm always grateful to God for that opportunity because I would have actually messed up. But even my luggage would have come too. And to be story. What I'm saying here is that I didn't manage my time well. I had a project plan to get to the airport at least at a particular time where I can still board, check in and board, but it didn't work well for me. So that project was not successful because I didn't get there on time. So I would have missed, apart from begging that helped me to board, normally I would have missed it. If it was a train, there are times that I would want to board a train and as I just climbing down the stairs, running, that just 1 minute. By the time you come down, the doors are just closing, boom. And if you are unfortunate, maybe it's another 40 minutes or 1 hour. Before another train that is going to your own route will come. So all of these things are projects. So you must always manage your time and then have a project plan. Your project plan can be flexible. That's why you will have to now look at the tasks and the activity that you will go through to enable you to meet up, getting to work on time, getting to that train station on time, getting to do that thing on time. If I start talking about you going to meet your sponsor, your financier, asking for approval for you to extend the time for you to deliver, as he was trying to paint, you'll be confused because you've not even gotten there. If I start talking about scope creep, gold plating, you will not know. Except you already have a basic or a professional knowledge of what scope creep. Who knows what scope creep is? What about gold plating? So that's why I told him that he went overboard and he confused us. Because we've not talked about who is a sponsor, who are the stakeholders, we've talked about other project constraints and so on. Unfortunately, I have 7 more minutes left. So probably just entertain questions. They will give you the slides and then you can read. My details are there. You can always ask me questions. And I will end with the prerequisites for a successful project that I want to talk about before the questions start coming in. So apologies for those who still want to ask questions, but let me quickly rush the prerequisites for a successful project. Number 1 is a well-defined scope, and number 2 is a sponsor. Now, for your project to be successful, we need to know what it is and to understand its purpose. In other words, it must be clearly defined. Your project must be clearly defined. If they ask you to construct a 3-story building, it is different from you constructing a 3-story building and a penthouse. If you go ahead to add a penthouse to it, are you still within scope or not? And when I say within scope, let me see how I can explain. When you talk about scope, you're talking about what your project is to achieve. So I am commissioned here to come and talk about project management. And if I get and I say, give your life to Christ, you have to be a good giver, live a holy life, make heaven. Honestly, I'm talking well. In fact, that's what God wants me to be doing, to preach the gospel. And thank God I'm even in a church environment. But am I doing what I've been asked to do?
No, you're out of scope.
I am out of scope. Because I've been asked to come and talk about project management. And here I'm talking about you giving a lot of time. Come here and start teaching you mathematics. I start teaching you dy, dx. All of those nonsense. I've always mathematicians here. People like that didn't go to school, they don't know all these things. So you must have a well-defined purpose. If you say 3-story building, it is 3-story building. If you go and do add a penthouse, then you are falling into what you're not supposed to fall into. So your project will be clearly defined, so that the project can be initiated and can deliver and satisfy the purpose, which is the scope. So I've said for your project to be successful, it must have a well-defined what? Scope or purpose. And number 2 is that for your project to be successful, you need a sponsor. Who is a sponsor? A sponsor is one who is in the business with the need. Not just the need, but with the power, the authority, and most of the time with the money, the finances, to get the budgets and the resources that will help fund the project for it to be a success. So for your project to also be executed, it needs approval from the management of the company to get their buy-in. I think it was the last speaker, I can't remember his name now, it should be Mr. Kayode also, if I'm not wrong. I overheard when he was concluding that maybe he or somebody else in their office or bank before now were giving us some ideas, some were successful, some were not successful. Is that correct? Now, those ideas, I also remember that he mentioned that he went to his line ED, to sell the idea and so on and so forth. That is like going to say, okay, I want your buy-in, I need management approval. So you cannot just on your own carry out, no, you're not Jack Bauer. How many of you watch 24? Lovely season film. Loved it. I mean, I don't do anything. I have my laptop by the bedside and the food, breakfast, lunch, dinner beside me. And then I watched it. It was very interesting. I mean, I can still watch it over and over, forever. Forever. He is the one that will, without the president's approval or his head approval at the city, and he will just go and do what he wants to do, take unnecessary risks and some calculated risk. But we are not doing jack power here. In project management, you must seek approval. Not just from anybody, but from your sponsor. Your sponsor is somebody in the business with a need, somebody who has the power, the authority to be able to endorse what you want to do. You need management buy-in that will endorse what you want to do. So without that, you cannot even carry out your project and it will not be successful. Imagine somebody, a minister now, look at Fashola now, who is handling 3 portfolios, power, how many other ministries? And what else? Walls. That housing, is it 1 or 2? It's called land and housing. It's not just housing. But away from that, Fashola cannot come out with any policy or power now or works without getting approval from his boss, the president. And there's some things that even the boss will need an approval from the Federal Executive Council. So all of those things, we see them, we hear about them daily, but we don't know that their lifestyle. In fact, I remember I went somewhere and I said to them in that place, I said, see, project itself, life itself is a project. And life itself is a project. Because it has the beginning and ending. So I've just been informed that 3 questions, I can accommodate 3 questions. So with 3 questions, we'll end. Thank you so much. My name is Biyi Adeyemo. The slide has enough things. You can put it up now. You see project management there. We didn't get to project management, but hopefully it's very simple and easy to understand. I'm sure you will be able to get all that you need to get there. But I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that going to Mama Put is a project and not an operation. Because maybe today I might end up with 1 Mama Put around my office. And that's me. Okay, so let's quickly take 3 questions and then we call it a day with this particular session. So 3 questions. Any question? Okay, no more questions. All right, that's good. No more questions. You want? Okay, 1, 2. Who else? Okay, just 2 people. Okay, sir, let's hear you talk. Okay, you need a mic. Someone is behind you to give you a mic.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. I want to find out about this CAPM. Because one of the times I used to think, or based on the friends and inquiries I made, that some projects, courses on project management are for science background folks and not for everybody. But from what you said now, I think it could be for, it's just for everybody.
Okay, thank you, sir. Like I said from the very beginning, I said project management is industry neutral. Irrespective of what you studied, your occupation, your career, whatever you're doing, project management is applicable. So your course of study does not matter. Whoever says or any perception that is only for the science is a misconception on that person's part. Even if you study Yoruba, people study Yoruba, it's applicable. You can go for project management. Just go to pmi.org. Why am I giving them adverts? You see all the requirements there. pmi.org. The second person.
Sir, I want to ask, if we have a project and along the line we are not able to complete the project at the exact time that we're supposed to end it, maybe due to some other factors, what can we call that?
What can we call that? Because you cannot complete. There are some projects that really has their scope change. So you discover that the project does not really end. So you end up extending it. But you cannot just say that you will extend or the project will not end like that. You will still need to go back to your sponsor so that you don't do what it's out of. Because by the time you are being given a project, there's what they call project charter. Like a document that will show the existence of that project. Now, and in that document, you already have the T&Cs, the terms and conditions of the project. So if that project is not going to end, fine, you can approach your sponsor to ask them to lengthen or to extend the time completion for that project. So it's not a problem, but you must get the authority, you must get the approval for that. And like I said earlier, there are projects that enter into another project. So you start this particular project, but they are saying they want to expand the scope. In fact, I can come to you and say, can you construct a 1 kilometer road for this state? And before you complete, I can say, no, you have to extend it to another 3 kilometers into this particular area. Now, that project definitely will not end because now the scope is changing, so you still have to revisit back what was agreed earlier on and document the new changes and then get document approval, and then to now have all these other details like, okay, now you have the scope, you have the quality, the budget will increase, and so on and so forth. So that's basically it. It's unfortunately I didn't really go into depth and take you through the project management itself because everything I've done so far was just to talk about project, and it's not my fault. I want you to understand, and I hope that if you have another opportunity.
I appreciate you, and it's really an eye-opener because really I really understand more about project. Not before I would say project supervisor. I really know what project is now, and I'm sure you really know what project is. So please let me